Hi, it's Alex Biggs from Drum Bass, and today I want to talk to you about the Hedd Type 20 Mark II monitors, how I've got on with them for about a week and a bit. Alright, let's have a look. So first of all, can I just say, with YouTube, they seem to get rid of comments if some lowlife has put some sort of link or some dodgy thing in there. So if you've put comments and they've disappeared, it's not me, it's the algorithm that YouTube used to get rid of any problem messages. So that's good and bad in many ways, but anyway, so yeah, sorry about that if that happens. So let's get on with the review, shall we? So how do I think the speakers are? Well, I think they're awesome, really happy with them, glad I bought them, so that's one thing. So let's just go through why. What I originally did, I looked at some other monitors, so I can only review these from the monitors that I used to have, the Yamaha HS8s, the KRK VXT6s and the other KRK 6s. So they're the speakers that I generally used, and again, great speakers. You know, paying a lot more money, is it 7 times better? No, it's not 7 times better, but it is a lot better. So let's find out why. But let's just go through the speakers that I was going to choose, and if you're a manufacturer and you've got access to these speakers and you want to loan me them to test them against these, that'll be great fun to actually hear how they compare in the same price bracket, because obviously I'm comparing in a lower price bracket, so these speakers have got to be better, otherwise you know, they wouldn't sell any. So it would be good to see how they sound with other models the same. Now the ones I looked at were the Trio Focal Trio 6. I thought they would look really smart, got good reviews, got the same sort of power, and I liked the fact that they were treble middle bass, so that really appealed. There was a shop that had them on offer and I was so close to getting them, but I chose these again because they've just come out and they've got all the different things you can do with them on the back. The other ones were Eve Audio SC37s. They look pretty smart, very similar to these. Adam Audio S3V. Don't particularly like how they look, but they looked like they would be pretty good as well. So if any of those want to be part in my way, I'll love to compare them with these and see what they're like. But anyway, let's get on with what I found out. So there's a few things that I'll say straight away, and that is that the leads, the XLR cables I used, have made a difference. Now I've watched videos and they say no, they don't make a difference, they only make a difference against insulation, against other, you know, currents or whatever, if you run cables over them, and they last longer the more you pay, as in, you know, they don't break. But from the first ones I used, I just found them laying around my studio, I just bunged them in. I know they were a cheap make, and they didn't sound as the sound field wasn't as big and they weren't as loud. Bit strange, as I mentioned in the other video. It could have been that I didn't push them in far enough, but I'm not sure. Could have been a combination of both. Then the next ones I bought were a little bit better, but again, I just thought, well, I'll get some other ones. I'm not associated with this company at all, but I bought some Nutric cables, because apparently they're the ones that are pretty good, not necessarily the best, but a good brand. So I bought those and they just made a difference. The sound field sounded better, the speakers sounded louder, it just made a difference. However, the other thing which I know would make a difference is, again, which I never really realised how important it is that you need to play music through them for quite a while so that the speakers loosen up and they just sound a bit better, and to be honest with you, every day they seem to have got better and better. Obviously my ears have got a little bit more used to them as well, but they've come on and they sound amazing. So definitely check out speakers in this price range, and these ones I would definitely check out. Don't dismiss them if you can, obviously. So what is the difference? So how I see it is that when I'm listening to music, you can kind of visualize where the music comes from. Now I think a good test for your speakers is when you play music, look at your speakers. If you can sort of see where the music's coming from out the speakers, then I think there's either a room problem or a problem with how you've positioned them. Because when I look at the speakers I've got here, I can't see the music come out of it. It's like bang in the centre to the sides. It's just very rare do I hear the instruments come out of the speakers. The speakers are just there and the sound stage is away from them, and it's pretty incredible to see that, and sort of it's really helped my mixing. And I'll tell you why. Because when I used to mix, you kind of have this set kind of go-to way of doing things, and I know I'm going to get loads of comments saying, well, that's wrong anyway, but what I tend to do is have your bass, your drums, your vocals right down the middle, and when you play them, they are literally in front of you down the middle, really precise. And then what you'd have to do is, like, your keyboards or your pianos would be hard panned right and left. Your guitars, you track twice, right and left, not necessarily hard panned, but somewhere there, and then all your other little bits of percussion or whatever sort of dotted around. So you do get that, but you get it so precise that you actually get it in different levels, like higher, nearer, and it's like you can see where the instruments are. And it's just really bizarre, and I think that might have something to do with also that I've got a treble, a mid and a bass, and that's why I wanted a 3 speaker setup in the box, as it were. So it's just, when you listen to it, you can see and you can imagine how clever the engineers were when they recorded it, how they decided when they mixed it to mix that there and put that there, and it's pretty incredible to see as well as hear what's going on. That's the only way I can kind of explain it. So have a listen when you do it, and when you put your headphones on, after you've sort of seen it, you can sort of picture a little bit where it is. So when you're mixing, obviously stick your headphones on as a reference check, because you do hear a little bit more in your headphones that you would necessarily not notice, but then when you put your speakers on, oh yeah, I can hear that echo in the back, right at the back of the speakers in your sound field, whereas in your headphones it's slightly nearer in your ears. So that's an interesting concept as well. So I hope that makes it clear. So with the ported and unported, what I found was, again, it's really hard to describe because I'm trying to describe sound that you hear, not see, is with the port or the bungs in the ports, and you change the dial at the back, what I think I heard was that the bass narrowed. Also, with certain tracks, it was more of a bass note in pitch rather than feeling. So when you crank them up, because they do go pretty loud now, say if your shirt's shaking a bit, when you put the bung in, I know it turns it down by 6 decibels, I think, it doesn't necessarily shake, but you hear more of the bass notes. So it's an interesting one, that. So again, it's good to have that flexibility. I actually prefer the bass because I just prefer bassy music. And then what else? Funny enough, my sub has now become a little bit boxy sounding, and that's because I've got used to the bass from these, because obviously these go lower than the sub, so now I'm not necessarily using the sub, and I really thought that I wanted to use the sub. So whereas in the previous video I wanted to ease off the speakers and let the sub do the work, the sub isn't sounding so good now, which is a shame because I like that sub, but to be honest with you, I think the music sounds better without it. But again, I still want to get that Hedd sub, because I just think that would just be awesome to listen to. I probably don't need it in the mixing, I probably don't need it, but you know, we all like sound, we'd all like that bass, that awesome sound, and if we can get it, we'd get it, do you know what I mean? So I'd love to get that at some point, but that'll be a long time away. The other thing I've noticed, or just a heads up on this, is this probably applies to any speaker that can go low in hertz, is that when you're mixing and you're doing that triangle, just a quick tip here, one that I heard, which was a really quick, easy one, is when you look at the speakers, make sure you can't see the sides of the speakers, and then you know you've roughly got them at the right angle. So if you're sitting there and you can see the right hand side of it, then move it so you can't see either side. So that was quite a good tip. The other thing, yeah, which I was going to say was, when I'm sitting down mixing, it's not particularly that bassy where it affects your mixing. But if I measured it, it was about 10 feet onwards, all of a sudden it gets massively bassy, because obviously the big bass waves take a little while to form. So just be a bit aware that if you're thinking they're not that bassy, then walk backwards, and then you'll be able to hear it, because it's pretty bassy for the speakers. Another thing with that, which also I never knew until recently, is that if you have the reason I think these are so bassy with just a 7-inch is that they move in and out a lot further than speakers did a few years ago. So that way they're moving more air pressure, which gives you that bass, and that's why they've got quite a long back, so that they can move the air pressure. Now, I've heard this, I believe it's true. So with the Hedd Type 30, you've now got another 7-inch, so they go lower in frequency. But you'd think, well, how's that possible with two 7s? Surely it'll be the same. Well, what happens is when you have two 7s, because they're both going at the same time, then, do these look like I'm cupping breasts here? Anyway, because they're going at the same time, they're moving twice as much air. So two 7s would move more air than a 12-inch sub. So that I can't really get my head around, but apparently that's what happens. So that's why the 30s are more bassy and louder and go lower. So just bear that in mind as well, and that's why it's impressive that a small speaker can produce such low notes, but it's because it moves a lot more and shakes that air pressure really fast to give you those bass notes. But that's just a little thing. Another thing to do on speakers and checking your room, probably going off a bit here, but anyway, is another little trick is get a couple of pillows and put them behind your ears, and you wouldn't believe the difference in sound. And that is when you take it away, your room that's making the noise, you put them there, and your room's gone, and it makes a massive difference. So that is a good way of realising how much around you affects the sound. So again, that's a reason why I've got these as well, is all those adjustments on the back. With the digital side, I've got a few comments about that. I don't know about digital stuff, so I'm the wrong person to ask. I've not checked that out because I don't know about it. I don't know how they sound digitally. I'm sorry about that. The other thing is, did it speed up my mixing? Well, yes, it did, in the way that I've got a better understanding of how to do mixes, which is awesome. And the other thing is, I had to do a drum track, and I literally had a day, and I didn't get a chance to come in the morning and listen to it. I had to send it that very day, as well as just playing it, and I mixed it and then sent it. And I listened the next day thinking, oh, I bet the snare's too loud, or the kick drum's too loud, but it was perfect. So I was well impressed with that. Whether that was a fluke, I don't know, but definitely those helped. I've also listened to a lot of my older mixes, and I can tell where they could have been improved. And again, that's only because I've got the right tools now to do the job. So really excited about doing some more stuff with these. So yeah, so it's all really good. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope I've done the job that you wanted me to do. What I would say at the very end is just think about, if you're going up to this price point, you're gonna, whatever speaker you get, you're probably gonna find them amazing. As I've said before, if you're going across, I would check these out first against yours before you commit, because, as I say, I can only judge from cheaper speakers, and they are so much better. The imaging is so much more precise, and they just work. So yeah, so that's what I would say. I hope that helps. Take care. See you soon.